Guys, buckle up. This one's a banger. Nutrition coach Michael Florida drops some serious knowledge on us. You're going to want to listen to this one 3 times. Hope you guys enjoy. Fighting out of the blue corner, weighing in at 205 pounds. He's got more guns than the U.S. Army. Michael Florida. Dude,
glad to be here,
I'm
man.
glad to have you, man. So in preparation for today, I did 100 pull-ups this morning. I was trying to get my guns as big as yours in one day, but it wasn't going to happen, man.
But pull-ups will do it, man.
Right?
You can do bicep curls all day long, but you do some pull-ups. So, I mean, you see the Olympic gymnast guys, those guys have massive guns.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
I have like this major love-hate with pull-ups because it's sort of like jiu-jitsu in the sense that like you can't fake it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like when you're hanging from a bar, and when you first start doing them, you're like, this is depressing. Like I can only do whatever the number is, 5 in a row, 1 in a row, whatever the number is, right?
Or none.
Or none. I'm just gonna hang here and somebody's got to spot me or use some bands or something.
Yeah. Or do eccentrics.
Yes, or
Negatives.
eccentrics, right?
Yeah.
And then in high school and college, I was a pole vaulter, and we did a lot of pull-ups and a lot of gymnastics type stuff, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so I like sort of had this like pride in being able to do a lot of pull-ups and stuff from bars and that sort of thing. And then I got out of the habit of them, and I like related to myself as someone that could still do a lot of pull-ups, and then I couldn't, and I was like, oh, this totally sucks. And then, but the cool thing about them, the love part of it, is like once you get back in the rhythm, like you progress pretty quick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I started last week. I was like, okay, I'm going to do 50 a day, and then I was doing like 10 sets of 5. I have a pull-up bar in my closet, so like I brush my teeth, do some pull-ups, talk to the wife, do some pull-ups, eat some dinner, do some pull-ups. Just bang them out. And I've got a dry erase marker on my shower, like the glass shower thing. And I'm like, I just slept like this, how many I've done, tally mark. And my wife is like, will you quit writing crap all over our bathroom, And so anyway, but like, and then, so it was like sets of 5 last week. And then today it was like, I could do 7 and 8 and 10. It was like do a massive, like pretty quick, you can get back in the rhythm,
Oh yeah, for sure. It doesn't surprise me that you're a pole vaulter though.
Oh, really?
You have the build of a pole.
Right.
Yeah.
Wiry and
Yeah, for sure. Long, wiry, kind of broad-shouldered. You
Right.
look like you'd be a pole vaulter for sure.
Well, the thing I like about you as a nutritionist and everything that you do is like, I want my nutrition, I want my weight training advice from someone who looks the part and practices it and lives it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The expression, you don't want a swim coach that's never been in the water.
For sure.
Like you, from what I know about you, I mean, you're texting me at like 3:30 in the morning while you're out rucking. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
like you're doing it, man.
I always say I would never make my clients do anything I wouldn't do myself.
Right?
Right. And that is the reality. I mean, I do try to live that lifestyle because it is so important for me to be able to properly navigate people's nutrition and navigate their training through my own experiences. And yes, I may not be an elite level runner, or yes, I may not be an elite level triathlete, but it doesn't mean I haven't put myself in those situations to understand what my body's going through, how it's suffering, how it needs to be fueled, how it's impacted by those things. Science tells us so much, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes people like to use science as a finite solution, an absolute, but it isn't, right? All it does is it takes this big picture and it narrows it down for you.
Okay.
And it gives you a better starting point. So science, as all of us knows, it can tell us whatever we want it to tell us.
Yeah.
If we control the right variables. And so everybody's set of variables, whether they're training variables, their nutrition variables, their sleep variables, their lifestyle variables, they're going to be different in their equation. And so for me, putting myself in these different situations helps me better navigate, like, hey, I know it's not fun waking up at 3:30, but when you have a 3-year-old little boy and an 8-month-old little daughter, and that's the only time you can train, then I'm going to get up and do it. Because
That's awesome.
For me, it takes less mental fortitude to endure that than doing it when I'm mentally wiped out by the end of my day. Like, it is easier for me to get up and train at that time in the
Really?
morning than it is for me to say, hey, I just went through a whole day of seeing clients and I'm mentally exhausted. Now I have to conjure up this mental strength and fortitude to endure a hard training session, and I'm probably not going to have that left in the tank.
Okay. So first off, I love that. So let me recreate some of that. So what you're saying is you dip your toe in the water of multiple sports so that you can relate to the athletes and the people that you're coaching.
Absolutely.
That's badass.
Absolutely.
And then okay, but back to your waking up at 3:30 to go ruck thing. Surely, I mean, when I wake up in the morning, it's like, snooze. It's like, there's all this crap in my head about I need more sleep. How do you deal with that? And how do you what's your coaching?
Well, science has shown us that you can get 8 hours of sleep every single night.
Okay.
But if the times of which you go to bed and wake up are constantly different, the quality of that sleep is exponentially less efficient.
Okay.
You could get 6.5 hours of sleep every night, but the times of which you go to bed and the times of which you wake up are always the same. The body is going to go through better hormonal regulation to drive that circadian rhythm, to drive that metabolic balance, and you're going to get better REM sleep, better deep sleep. Your quality is going to go up exponentially, even though it was a shorter time domain.
That makes sense.
So people will go, well, I'm trying to get those extra hours, but those extra hours aren't really benefiting you because you're driving dysregulation in your schedule and your routine.
So let's just whatever time somebody wakes up, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., if they just woke up at that same time and just whatever, I'm just going to get out of bed at that time no matter what, that would help. That would be better at getting them in a rhythm than them going, oh man, I'm kind of tired. Let me get another couple extra hours.
Absolutely. Because cortisol for everybody is at its all-time high when you first wake up. Okay.
What does that mean?
So cortisol is one of the major hormones that regulates circadian rhythm for people.
Okay.
Okay. And it is super high when you get up, and it is driving that sympathetic nervous system. Okay.
You got to really dumb this down for me, man.
All right. So it drives that fight or flight nervous system, right? It's the thing that snaps you out of bed in the morning. You're like, whoa, okay, I'm ready to rock and roll. Right. But if you go, well, my alarm clock just went off and I go ahead and I hit snooze.
Yeah.
And you have this hormone that's telling you to wake up and get your butt moving. Now, suddenly your body goes, well, pump the brakes. We're trying to go back to sleep. So I'm going to start producing sedative-based hormones to counteract the cortisol. And then you go back to sleep. But now when you finally do get up, you're more tired than you were if you would have just got up at the time your alarm went.
100%. Yeah.
And now it takes you until 9 or 10 a.m. to metabolize those out of your bloodstream, so that you're feeling energized again. Now you feel like you're in a fog through the first of your morning because you hit the snooze 5 or 6 times.
No way. So it's you're better off just getting up.
Absolutely.
That's nuts. Okay, so cortisol, too much cortisol isn't good, right? I mean,
correct.
I know very little about this.
So cortisol, I mean, it plays a lot of roles,
okay,
right? It plays a lot of roles in the human body. It's manufactured by the adrenal cortex, which is on your adrenal gland, on your kidneys, right? So it's like it plays a major role, but one of the major things it is really facilitating is regulating circadian rhythm. You have highs and lows of cortisol throughout your day, but you hear about cortisol a lot because people are like, well, that's the stress hormone.
Yes,
right?
yeah, that's what I've heard about it.
That's the stress hormone, right? And everybody says, well, isn't that why I store belly fat?
Okay, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Right? And so what cortisol does is it drives a process called gluconeogenesis.
Okay.
Gluco is glucose.
Okay, got it.
Neo is new.
Okay.
Genesis is the creation of.
Okay, got it.
Right?
Yep.
So your body, by higher cortisol, creates glucose.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's why people get up in the morning time and they're like, well, I haven't eaten carbs. I didn't eat any carbs last night. I didn't eat any carbs yesterday. But when I wake up, my fasting blood glucose is 85 or 90, or maybe 105, whatever their fasting blood sugar is when they first wake up. It may be exponentially elevated, not because of what they ate, because of their cortisol production.
Wow.
So their body is manufacturing glucose through gluconeogenesis.
Okay.
Right? And Right now in the media, everybody's talking about what's the weight loss hormone right now? Do you hear about?
The weight loss
Oh,
hormone,
weight loss drug, the drug,
Ozempic.
Ozempic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so everything we're hearing right now is okay, well, Ozempic is the thing that's causing all these people to lose weight.
yes.
Well, Ozempic is the antagonist to insulin.
Okay,
Insulin suppresses fat metabolization.
okay,
Ozempic promotes it.
okay,
Okay. So when you produce cortisol, you produce glucose. The hormone that lowers your blood glucose is insulin.
yes.
So you're trying to lower your blood sugar, you're producing insulin, but as you're producing that insulin, it is suppressing your body's ability to burn fat.
Okay,
So if you're somebody that naturally has higher cortisol, you can be predisposed to storing more belly fat because of insulin. Is cortisol the cause of the belly fat stores? No, it is a it is a byproduct of the cortisol drives up your blood sugar, then the insulin comes in to manage the blood sugar, and the insulin is what causes the belly fat. So people are going, well, okay, well, how can I get rid of this? How can I have less insulin? Will you introduce its antagonist hormone, glucagon?
okay,
So glucagon, it raises your blood sugar where insulin lowers it.
okay,
Okay. Glucagon promotes fat metabolization. So now suddenly you're in this window of being able to burn more fat by introducing this GLP-1 glucagon-like peptide, right? Semaglutide or tirzepatide,
bro. Where do you learn all these big words, bro?
right? So it's your body is essentially trying to find homeostasis. It's trying to find balance. All it wants to do is keep Frost's blood sugar at 90 nanograms per deciliter. Like it's trying to keep your blood sugar stable.
Okay,
Right. And you have insulin that's pulling it down and glucagon that's pulling it up. Right. So your body's just in this fight to try to create this balance. And so when people wake up in the morning time, they produce cortisol, which pulls their blood sugar up. But instinctually, a lot of people that have high cortisol don't wake up with much of an appetite. Do you wake up hungry?
Um, sometimes I guess probably my vice, my worst cardinal sin as far as my health is probably the sleep and frequency that you talked about earlier, right?
Yeah.
So like I at times get into rhythms where it's consistent bedtime, consistent wake time. The nature of our business is we're up late. You know, the gym's closed 9, 10 o'clock at night. I'm banging out emails from 10 p.m. till till to midnight, 1 a.m. and then bed by 2 a.m. And then as a dad, I mean, my kids are a little older now, so it's not like the crazy the early years when it's just like total chaos and
Yep.
trying to sleep. It's like get a nap whenever you can. But I'm through those years and experience that chaos, and now I'm at the point where I can get consistent sleep just trying to manage being up, like, helping. My wife is awesome. Like she can do all the stuff for the kids in the morning and sort of prefers that I'm like not around because I'm like
Yeah.
I'm like an extra kid,
Because you throw a kink in a
Yeah,
routine.
totally, right?
You drive dysregulation.
100%.
Yeah.
And so she handles most of their morning stuff, which is awesome. So I do like the evening stuff because I'm wired evening. She's going to bed early. And anyway, I can get in that sleep rhythm. And I totally know what you're saying. Like when I go to bed on, at the same time and wake up at the same time, I feel better. And I am not like wake up, put on my shoes and get exercise, but I am like wake up and I got into coffee the last couple of years. I want to hear your feedback on coffee. And then like I'll eat some fruit and like some, sauce, like a protein and a fruit. And then I try to do that and then let my stomach settle for 1 to 2 hours prior to the workout. So I'm like wake up, eat something, work out within 2 hours of wake up.
Okay. So you get up and you have coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. And when was the last time you had water prior to having that coffee?
Um,
The night before?
the night before, sometimes I'll wake up thirsty and pound a bottle of water, kind of at that same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, do you know how long you can survive without water?
3 days. Is that what it is?
3 days,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So the human body is good at one thing,
Uh-huh.
facilitating survival.
Okay.
So you can bet if you do not drink enough water, it is going to produce hormones
Mm-hmm.
that cause you to retain water.
Oh.
And so if you have essentially fasted from water since the night before, and the first thing you introduce into your equation is a diuretic, caffeine.
Bro, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Keep talking.
Yeah.
Keep talking. I'm in.
You can assume that the body systematically is already putting fail safes in place to try to get you to retain water.
Oh, fascinating.
You know, it's like how many guys or girls wake up in the morning time and like, man, I feel pretty tight. Everything looks pretty good. But by 5 in the afternoon, they feel like a bowl of jello.
Okay.
And that's because one, you didn't start your day off right with hydration.
Okay.
And two, you didn't properly hydrate throughout the duration of your day.
Okay.
So your body is taking intracellular water, driving it extracellularly underneath the surface of your skin so it's out of circulation. So you start retaining water, you become a camel by the end of your day because your body has manufactured antidiuretics to hold on to fluid.
Wow, that's nuts.
Because you have not properly hydrated throughout the duration of your day.
That's nuts. So you're not big on coffee.
I'm not big on coffee. I don't drink coffee. I will tell you, I used to.
Okay.
Had anatomy physiology class when I was in college.
Okay.
And one of the things that we had to do was see the impact of caffeine on resting heart rate. And I was in an anatomy physiology lab, and our professor broke us up into groups, and everybody had to take their resting heart rate. And I think mine was like 48. So it was the lowest in my group.
That's
so
solid, yeah.
I was the base.
Okay.
Okay. So I was the guy that was going to do the testing. So they took mine resting. I drank 1 cup cold black coffee. 5 minutes later, I sat up. They took my heart rate again. Okay. Rinse and repeat. Drink another cup of cold black coffee.
Oh, wow.
5 minutes later, do it again. They did that 3 times on me.
So 3 cups of coffee over 20
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay.
15 minutes, right? My heart rate's in the 160s by the end of the third
No
cup.
way, dude.
I get so nauseous, I'm puking, coffee, throwing coughing up, it's coming out of my nose.
What?
Yeah. And dude, I smelled coffee for weeks. The thought of it nauseated me.
So you're like scared straight, huh?
Yeah, like never doing coffee.
Maybe
again.
that's what like the coffee addicts should all do. Just like drink it till they puke and then they'll be good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know the old saying about, you know, like, well, here, smoke this whole carton of cigarettes.
Yeah,
and just,
yeah.
You know, like I said, scared straight. Yeah, not fun.
Oh, dude. Okay, so if somebody is like addicted to coffee, like because they've been doing it for 10, 20 years,
Yeah.
what advice would you have for them? Like how do you wean off of that? Or is there like, hey, just try drinking it 2 hours after you wake up, after you've hydrated, or what advice do you have there?
Well, you know, so get up, get some water in you, get 8 to 12 fluid ounces of water in you, and then you can have some coffee. You know, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
But, you know, a lot of people are like, well, it gives me more energy.
Okay.
Well, it does. It does give you more energy, but all drugs, right?
Yep.
All medications, they work on an inverted U curve, right? Or a bell curve, right? It's like this much is good, this much is great, this much is better, but this much starts to really impact me performance wise.
Yeah.
Right? You know, if you know, you being somebody that has grown up in the world of jiu-jitsu and got into jiu-jitsu and really high level, and you're like, hey, I want my performance to be peak. I want it to be crisp.
Yeah.
I want to be on point, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, a little bit of caffeine is going to help you elevate that performance. A little bit of adrenaline is going to help you elevate that performance.
Sure.
Right? But too much, what does it do? It now, okay, maybe I'm a little bit shaky, maybe I'm a little bit,
I've experienced that. Sure.
you know, wired, and now it's like, now my gut is all like messed up, you know, I don't feel good, and you're like, okay, well, maybe that was a little bit too much, right? But I see this with fighters.
Yeah.
I see it with all kinds of different athletes, but it's like, you know, it's like some of the guys when they get into fighting, it's like, man, that it gives them that edge when they walk into the octagon or when they get onto the mat.
Right.
But then over years, it doesn't give them the same stimulus.
Just like any drug. Like the first time you do it, you're up here, and then it ain't working anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, it was a little bit too much, but they learned how to really hone it in. And then they overstimulated that system so much that it was like, now it's not even effective. Now, it's like somebody scared me or startled me so often that I don't even respond.
Yeah, and I see it a lot here at the gym with the guys with the energy drinks too. They're banging out a Monster or a Bang or whatever they're called prior to a workout, and even like 10 years ago, I guess pre-workout became like super popular. I'd see guys do some pre-workout and throw up in the middle of the warm-up because they were just like so jacked up.
For sure.
But I did notice like, oh wow, that guy's freaking on fire tonight,
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your thought on pre-workout energy drinks, all that stuff? Same story, or?
Well, it's understanding that there's a balance, right? There's a fine line, and you also want to understand that, first of all, what is food? What is it to us as human beings?
Fuel, I guess.
Fuel.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're redirecting cellular energy to a stimulant, you're redirecting it away from using fuel to drive that cellular energy.
Okay.
Right? Food is fuel. We want to fuel our system. We want to drive good fuel into the body.
Okay.
And it's not that having a little bit of a stimulant isn't beneficial, but if you're overusing it and you're now you're causing your body to adapt to not using the fuel properly and relying solely on how much caffeine you put into your body, that's not a good thing from a performance standpoint.
So do you think there's a space for, caffeine or any type of pre-workout supplement in the...
There is. Absolutely. There's 100% a place for it, right?
Okay.
But I think most people use it as their sole energy source.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not focusing so much on all of these other variables, their lifestyle factors, right? They're like, well, I didn't sleep good last night, so let me hit a Monster.
100%. Let me have 2 cups of coffee instead of 1. Yeah,
Correct.
I'm 100% guilty of that one.
Correct,
Yeah.
right? And so if you really want to optimize your system, optimize the body's performance day in and day out, you're perpetuating the issue by having a Monster.
Yeah.
By having 2 coffees because you didn't sleep well. Versus, hey, maybe I'm better off moderating my training today, throttling it back a little bit, making my training a little bit lower intensity and not as aggressive, right? So that I can ensure that my sleep quality is better the next night.
Wow.
Because now you ramp yourself up with all this caffeine, so you're going to for sure have poor sleep the next night, which is then going to perpetuate poor recovery, deep physical recovery, which is your deep sleep. It's going to perpetuate poor REM sleep, which is psychological mental recovery. And so now you just didn't have this one day. Now you had multiple days. Now you're going to have another day of bad sleep. And if you do that the next day, you're going to have another day of bad sleep. And so your recovery, all these biometric readers that people are reading, they're like, dude, I mean, I don't understand, my score is a 35 every morning when I wake up. I'm in the red or I'm in the yellow. Like, why is that? And the reason that is because you're not doing all of these things throughout the duration of your day to drive better sleep quality. And a lot of that is driven around caffeine.
Wow. Okay, let me give that back to you. So say I'm abusing Monsters, or I want to get off the energy drinks, and what you're saying is, hey, don't train as hard. Step 1, do I go cold turkey? Do I try to drink half of a Monster? Do I
you
cut my training
slowly
down?
back yourself down? Yeah.
Okay,
you slowly back yourself down.
I don't do the energy drinks, but if I did, say I'm used to doing one, and I would just open one and maybe pour like a quarter of it out, just right down the drain, and I'm like, okay, today this is how much I'm going to have. And then a couple days from now, I'm pouring half of it out. And then I would just train. It'd be okay to train less hard for a week or 2 until I could get to
For sure. And
a good space.
what you would find is that your fight or flight nervous system, that sympathetic, would start recovering better. Your overall central nervous system would start recovering better, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of those things would recover better because your sleep quality would go up. And as that sleep quality goes up, your need for caffeine to energize you would go way down.
Yeah.
And your performance would go way up.
Wow. So like getting a healthy night's sleep is the number one thing you can do for sports or anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Getting a good quality night's sleep. I mean, there's lots of articles out there through National Strength and Conditioning Association and studies that show, and they call it anabolic sleep, right? Like that's where your body recovers.
Yeah.
That's where you want to grow muscle. It's what you ate through the day and how good you slept, but so many people are so focused on what they're doing in the gym, they're not focusing on their sleep quality. And that's going to impact your muscle growth more than what you're doing in the gym sometimes.
Wow. Whew, okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's so simple all at the same time, right?
Yeah, everybody can do that.
For sure.
You don't need to spend money to do that.
No, absolutely not. But
Yeah.
I think and we don't have to talk about this now, but I'm just going to kind of briefly mention it. I think so many people want the edge through supplementation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But the reality is the edge comes from consistency and what time you wake up, what time you train, what time you eat your meals, and what time you go to bed. If you're stable with that, the human body becomes exponentially more regulated.
Wow.
So from a metabolic standpoint, from a biochemical standpoint, you create this extreme regulation. The human body is quick to become dysregulated because it's trying to drive survival.
Yeah.
It does not know the difference if you're sitting in that chair and I'm here or we're in the middle of nowhere. Survivalistically, it is trying to preserve life.
Yes.
And so if you're driving day-to-day dysregulation within your body, it's going to drive metabolic damage. It's going to drive hormonal damage. It's going to create this system that is going to inevitably fail. In the short term, your body rises to the occasion to meet the needs to survive, but after a while, you exhaust that system and it inevitably fails.
Wow. Okay. This is good. This is good. This is hitting home for me. Okay, so let me give this back to you. I want to make sure it's landing right. So if I can go to bed at the same time every night, wake up the same time every day, eat consistent, good quality meals.
Absolutely.
All of that is going to be, if I can do that, that's way better than like any new supplement, any creatine, any lion's mane, any like you can't supplement your way out of a crap sleep situation.
Correct.
So everybody that has crap sleep should stop everything they're doing and get that in check.
And once again, the crap sleep is coming through dysregulation. I, on average, go to bed between 9 and 9:30, and I wake up at 3:30. Since my daughter's been born 8 months ago, my average sleep is 6 hours and 14 minutes. I don't get a lot of it, but guess what? I get an hour and 45 minutes of deep sleep, 2 hours and 20 minutes of REM sleep. My sleep quality is there. So I have the good quality. My biometric reader, my watch, always tells me to sleep longer, but the reality is I get through my day, I get through my training sessions, and I feel really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
So and the other aspect of it is that most people, they have so much dysfunction in their day-to-day routine, they don't even know where to start to troubleshoot it.
Yeah.
So if you create some consistency, at least you're going to better navigate your ability to troubleshoot your own issues.
Yeah.
But people don't do that.
So if you had to kind of dumb this down a little bit in just on a percentage scale, so I say my sleep is messed up, my nutrition's messed up, I'm operating at, let's just say 60% of what I'm capable of. And then I get it in check and I can get to 90 to 100. Is that like about a fair assessment on the athletes that you've coached and their performance jumps?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And oh, not to call him out, but you know Joel, right? We both know Joel,
Yeah.
right? Like Joel's a great athlete. I mean, the guy is unbelievable in the endurance world,
Yeah.
right? But it's like when his system is more regulated, he wakes up in the morning and he has unbelievably fast runs
Yeah.
at lower heart rates. He has poor sleep. His runs feel really hard. They're slower and his heart rate is higher.
Yeah.
That's just from a bad night's sleep. And so many people are like, oh man, well, if I take this supplement, it's going to really boost my performance. Well, you can talk to anybody that's athletic, that lifts heavy weights. I mean, I've done this before, had a poor night's sleep, crawled under a back squat. I squatted this just last week. It felt effortless. Today, it feels like it's 150% to my 1 rep max. Like, I don't even think I'm going to do it.
Right.
Right? It's like that's a recovery issue. That's a nervous system problem, right? And that has a lot to do with your sleep.
First off, shout out to Joel.
Yeah.
Second off, okay, so say I wake up and I had crap sleep. All right. And I got plans to do whatever this workout is I'm going to do. Do you recommend just doing it no matter what, even though it's crap and it's hard, or do you say, hey man, I just got to cut it back?
I would cut it back. In my opinion, I would cut it back because one, poor sleep quality on average reduces protein synthesis the next day by 17%.
What does that mean?
That means your body's ability to utilize protein to recover muscle is reduced by 17% the next day.
Got it.
On top of that, there is an average of about 35% decline in your metabolism the next day.
Wow.
But the kicker is there's a 50% rise in your appetite. So you are hungrier and you're burning less calories the next day because you didn't sleep well. And so that's where people are like, I don't know why. I've been eating my plan. I've been really good. I haven't been hungry, but suddenly this day in particular, I was starving. I was like, what was your sleep like? And they go, oh yeah, it was bad.
So with all your clients, is that just like, is this the heavy lifting for you? Like everybody's got to get the sleep thing in check?
No, not necessarily.
Really? Some people have it dialed in?
Some people most definitely have it dialed in and they have it then. And that's a good thing. You know, that's a good thing. It's where it makes it more fun for me because then I really get to kind of fine tune.
Then you get to be the mad scientist.
Yeah, the food and everything. Yeah.
Wow. And do you, when you coach people on, food as their fuel and their medicine, what percentage of it is, the right foods to eat versus the right supplements to take once somebody's got the sleep thing down?
Okay. So in regards to, I don't know a lot about jujitsu, right? It doesn't mean I don't watch it. I don't enjoy it. Right.
Yeah.
But it's fundamentally, you have to have a solid foundation of jujitsu to be able to become an elite level jujitsu athlete.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sometimes it's fun learning all the new different ways to manipulate people or get them into a position or submit them. Mm-hmm. Those things can be really fun. But the foundation is your guard. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. What else is the foundation?
Yeah, passing the guard.
Passing the guard.
Good posture.
Right? Nobody wants to practice that day in and day out.
Yeah.
But the guys that are really good at it, sometimes they don't even have to take it to the higher levels of jujitsu because they have this very solid foundation.
Yeah, 100%.
We call macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, macro because they're the big piece of the puzzle, but what everybody wants to focus on is the supplements, and that's the micronutrients.
Okay.
That's the small piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Right? That is when you have taken care of all of this, then you can play with those micronutrients.
That's the fine tuning.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, what I love about nutrition is that people go, well, what makes you better than somebody else? And I'm not that in regards to nutrition. It's like, I'm not the guy that knows all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I remember growing up as a kid, my dad was very mechanically inclined.
Okay.
Have you been around somebody that's really mechanically
Sure.
inclined? Right.
Yeah.
And they'll look at a nut or a bolt and they'll go get me a 15 millimeter
Yeah.
wrench.
Give me the 5/16. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
They know right then and there.
Yeah.
Right. And then the guy that doesn't, he has all the same tools in his toolbox.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
But he's over there 15, 12.
Bring them all over here. I got to try them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think through experience and through education, I'm better able to choose the right wrench for the job. Right.
Yes.
And for you as a jiu-jitsu athlete, it's like in regards to what belt are you?
Black.
Black belt. Okay. So in regards to the tools in your toolbox that you have at, your disposal, what's different between you and a brown belt?
Yeah. The fundamentals.
The fundamentals?
Yeah. I've got some and fine tuning some real tricky stuff that I had time to work on.
Your ability to apply it.
Yeah.
At the right time.
At the right time. Sure.
In the right moment.
Sure.
Right. You're not the guy fumbling through your toolbox with a 12, 13, 14, then figuring out the 15 works.
Yeah.
You look at the situation and that fast, it's a 15 millimeter wrench.
100%.
And so, bam, you execute.
Nice.
Right?
Yep.
That's what I do with food.
Wow.
I just look at people's variables, and the variables I hone in on are your nutrition, your current eating methodology,
Yep.
your training methodology,
Yep.
your circadian rhythm, which is your sleep cycle, your genetics, which for better or worse, you're stuck with, right?
Right.
And your biochemistry, your hormones.
Okay.
Those are what I look at to make my assessment. And people are like, but you haven't even seen my blood work.
Yeah.
No, but I can see a 15 millimeter nut from a mile
Yeah.
away.
There's all this stuff that's out of whack. We need to focus on that. We don't need blood work to start working on that.
Correct.
Nice. And then what type of results do you see? So take our buddy Joel, for example, like, somebody comes in that's already, a high functioning athlete, and then you make these adjustments. What type of results do folks see?
I mean, see a guy like Joel, which is, like I said, a really good runner, and go from a 3:19, 3:20 marathoner to a sub 3 hour marathoner.
Nice.
That's pretty, in the duration of 6 months.
Yeah. And there's no extra running workouts he's doing. That the only thing he changes is the stuff you're working with him on.
Correct.
That's pretty dang cool.
Correct. There's I don't think you would have any issues with this, but there's a client of mine, his name's Cassio. Okay. Silva, and he's a very high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yeah.
Right? He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember when I first met Cassio, I mean, this guy, he's so smart, right?
Yeah.
He really understands science. He understands physiology. He understands training. And I was just like, well, every time you get done teaching that last class at night, and then you spend another 2 to 3 hours rolling to try to fine tune your training.
Yeah.
Cut it out.
Which seems, I know.
Go to sleep.
I know a lot of guys just like that. Yeah.
And go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I watched this guy in the duration of a year become a monster.
Right.
It's just like 11 wins in a row, being ranked number 1.
Yeah.
Right? Like, unbelievable guy. And it's like, and he laughs about it now. He's like, all he did was tell me to go to bed.
Yeah. Right. Less is more a lot of times.
Yeah.
I see that a lot with what I would call like a hyper performing athlete. Someone who's just like my buddy Robert. Shout out to Robert. He all the time, like, the day before the tournament, he wants to roll. I'm like, bro, you got to rest. He's like, can't do it. Like, got to train hard, got to train every day. And I'm always like, bro, come on, man, just take a couple days off. Let your body rest up. Nope, can't do it. There's a lot of people. And we're all trained. Hard work harder. All that stuff, and I think that's a good quality to have, but can hurt you.
I think a lot of guys in our era grew up in the mindset of no pain, no gain.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're not suffering,
Yeah.
You're not getting better.
Yeah.
And we've now really have come to the understanding that that's not always the case, right? And that's for sure. It's not just always the case. It's usually never the case. You know,
Yes.
like there are some people that don't want to suffer. Yeah, maybe in their case, they need to suffer a little bit more.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, sometimes dialing it back is going to give us our most benefit.
Do you think that's probably the number one thing with your high performer, hyper competitive type A type guys? Just you coach them to dial it back a little?
For sure. And so I mentioned earlier, like out of these 5 variables, I look at training, right? And you being a pole vaulter, me growing up playing baseball, it's from a genetic predisposition, we're a little bit more dynamic, we're a little bit more coordinated, we have more explosive power. That is a genetic predisposition that we have. It's not changing as we get older.
Okay.
Okay. So that comes with some pros. And that pro is, hey, I want to get into a physical sport like jujitsu, right? And I need to be strong and capable. That's great. But a huge con that comes with that is it doesn't make you a naturally great endurance athlete.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you're like, whoa, okay, well, I mean, yeah, I can be strong, but my endurance sucks. I'm not out here running ultras. That can be a big con for having that genetic makeup.
Yes.
Okay. But the understanding of energy systems, the foundation of our energy systems is the aerobic system. That's the stuff you and I don't necessarily enjoy doing. That's the low intensity,
Bro,
long
you're speaking my
duration
love
stuff.
language right now. I just got into all this VO2 max stuff about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I added it like, like an hour and a half to 2 hours of boring ass cardio a week and saw big improvement.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Right. Because what you did is, it's like, do you want to build your house on a huge foundation or do you want to build it on one pier?
Yeah. Yeah. The foundation.
Right. You got to have the big foundation. And the foundation of a better aerobic energy system means that you can build your anaerobic system stronger on top of it.
Yes.
So your body's ability to dissipate lactate buildup in your tissue. So, hey, I can roll and I can wear myself out and get my heart rate ramped up, but quickly I can dissipate that lactate. And now I got my grip back and they don't feel like my forearms are just full of blood and lactic acid and just, I feel like I can't hold my grip. You feel powerful again. You bring everything back down to baseline much, much quicker because you developed this aerobic energy system.
Yeah. And so for a guy like me, this is really great. So back to kind of the no pain, no gain, whether it was a jiu-jitsu workout or a weight room workout, you sort of train like leave it all in the gym, and just be wringing wet exhausted when you leave. That's probably not the most efficient way to train.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because when you train like that day in and day out, you're really competing.
That's game day type tenacity.
Correct.
That you don't need on the day to day.
Correct.
That's going to stress out your body. It's going to cause injuries. That's going to be
correct.
Harmful.
When you train at those high intensities all the time, you're forming tremendous amounts of lactate. And that lactate is mixing with protons and amino acids in our muscles and forming lactic acid, which is lowering the pH of your tissue, which is increasing the inflammation in your body.
Yeah.
So now, as you've gotten older, as I've gotten older, suddenly we ache a little bit more. Our knees hurt, our hips hurt, our hands hurt, our shoulders hurt. Things are a little bit more achy. And part of that is because as we get older, we're not dissipating that lactate nearly as efficiently as what we did when we were younger. Okay. But as you build that aerobic energy system, you sit there and you do some of that low intensity, long duration training. Now it's like, hey, I don't hurt as much.
Yeah, that's what I experienced too. I go to the gym and hop on. So I'll do like the bike for 10 minutes. I'll do the stair stepper thing for 10 minutes, and I'll kind of like rotate the 2, 3, 4 machines, because if I stay on like the same machine for the whole time, I go a little crazy, and aches and pains start happening. So, but keeping that heart rate like high 120s, low 130s, started off for about 30 minutes and then worked my way up to about hour-long sessions. And I just put in a podcast, and I've heard the metric is to the point, if you can't have a conversation while you're working out, then you're going too hard.
Correct.
So I'll even do like a phone call, with like a work call, and I'm like, hey, if I'm on the treadmill here, and it's pretty funny. So I can get like an hour of work done
and
while
you're
I'm
just taking a call.
And I'm just taking a call. Yeah.
Yeah. And utilizing RPE, relative perceived exertion, is what you just described, right? Conversational pace. Using relative perceived exertion as a indicator of intensity can be beneficial, right? But it's not always accurate.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because if you have somebody that has a really strong, high intensity, short duration anaerobic energy system, as soon as they engage, they will autopilot to that anaerobic system. Their heart rate will be 170, but they're at a conversational pace.
Oh, they could talk at 170. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're like, how are you talking to me right now?
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? This feels fine.
Okay, so it's not it's not 100%. It's just sort of a blue belt level metric.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
That's exactly right. So it's a good, once again, it kind of narrows the window for you, right? To kind of give you a good starting point. But you talk about the VO2 max testing, and then sometimes, people will get on and do a VO2 max, and it's like they're having a conversational pace at 170 beats per minute heart rate. And you're like, dude, I would be dying if I was there.
Yeah.
Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, let's say you haven't been sleeping well, you haven't recovered very well, and you're going hard in the paint to where you feel like you're about to die. Your relative perceived exertion from 1 to 10 is a 9.5, but your heart rate's 140.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's like you can have low heart rate, high intensities, or high heart rate, low intensities. And that's usually an indicator that there's a very big imbalance in energy system development, whether you have a really dominant anaerobic energy system, whether you have a really, dominant aerobic energy system.
Right. So you think measuring the heart rate is the most efficient way to track that?
Measuring the heart rate is one variable in indicating that, but you can strength train.
Okay.
Right? And your heart rate could be really low. It doesn't mean you're aerobic.
Oh, fair.
Right? Because one of the byproducts of determining whether something is anaerobic or aerobic is energy system utilized, right? The fuel that you're using. And if I give you a 3-pound dumbbell and you just start lifting it over your head, within minutes, your shoulder would be on fire, right? That's showing that even though your heart rate's not elevated, you're forming lactate, which is causing the tissue to burn, which means it's an anaerobic movement.
Dude, this is so complicated. The human body and everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of moving parts, man. There's a lot of moving parts. And that's why it's not always so simple,
Wow.
But it's fun.
I'm glad there's guys like you out there that like, this is your thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can help the rest of us. Golly, it's being able to lean on you for your expertise is, I mean, woof.
And the thing that's really good about it is it's just having somebody help you get you through the weeds faster versus you feeling like you're just kind of slashing away at it. And then you're months and months in and you don't make any progress, and then you're frustrated and then you start to give up, so.
What type of, okay, so I'm pretty clear. I knew this coming into this, but even just with this conversation, getting with you or somebody like you as a coach, a nutrition coach, is that how you would describe yourself? Yeah. And, is incredibly valuable. Number one, to help formulate and create a game plan. And then what type of like follow-up tips do you have for someone that, they figured out their sleep, they figured out when they should be working out, they figured out their diet. Like what kind of, fail safes do you put in to make sure they stay on that sort of thing? And what do you see that takes people out the most?
I think the thing that takes people out the most is they're trying to change too much at once.
Okay.
right? And for me, I'm an educator and I want to educate others. I don't want you to need me
Okay. If
eventually.
you've done your job right,
Correct. Right.
yeah,
Now there may be some waters that you've never navigated on a athletic level or a nutritional level and you may come back to me, but if I'm doing my job correctly, I am educating you properly in how to fuel your body, how to recover your body, how to optimize your performance day in and day out
got it.
based off what your original goals were coming to see me,
Yeah.
right? And so I think the biggest thing is people, they look at nutrition as a finite system,
What's that mean?
absolute.
Okay.
This is it, right?
Okay.
And so if you're going to compete
Mm-hmm.
in a match, right? There's an end date to when the intensity of your training is going to kind of come to
Sure.
a peak, a
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
right? But the reality is nutrition is infinite. It's something you will be doing for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Okay. It's going to be changing. You're going to be changing. Your chemistry is going to be changing. Your metabolism is going to be changing. It's not something that's finite. It's like having a page long mathematical equation. And by the way you're halfway through solving it, the variables at the top started changing the equation. So you got to go back to the start and start solving it again.
It's not a one and done.
It's not always a one and done because we're getting older every day.
Yeah. So it's almost like you have to have a relationship to your nutrition.
For sure.
And yeah, okay.
Okay. And so for me, it's like I think so many people are like, well, I have a wedding or, I have this event and I want to get ready for it. I'm like, okay, well, I can help you get ready to that point, but there's still a lot of stuff that we
Yeah.
need to
You got
educate.
70 years left too. You need to be thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And, bringing up aerobic energy systems, do you know what the primary source of fuel is for your aerobic energy system?
Mm-mm.
Fat,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when you train anaerobically, the only source of fuel is glucose, carbs,
Okay.
okay? But the primary source of energy in the aerobic system is fat. And I hear lots of people out there going, well, the Mediterranean diet is really the way to go. It's really healthy. It's good and healthy fats. Absolutely. Do you have an energy system to utilize that fuel? Maybe not,
Okay.
right? I mean, my F-250 Power Stroke takes diesel. Gasoline's a great source of energy. It's a great source of fuel. But if I fill it up with gasoline, it's going to have some major problems,
Okay.
right? But if you look at most people across Europe, they eat a lot of dietary fat.
Yeah. Meaning like a ribeye.
No,
No.
like oils
Okay. Got
and
it.
nuts and seeds and
Okay.
things of that nature, right?
Got
They
it.
eat a lot of dietary fat, okay?
Okay.
But they also walk a lot,
Yeah.
right? They are walking 20,000 steps a day, where Americans are, or not Americans, Houstonians are walking 3,500 steps a day average,
Yeah.
right? That's a huge difference. And so if you go through your entire life cycle and you're constantly walking all that time and you're slowly just developing this aerobic energy system through zone 1, moderate zone 2 work,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're just building it through your life, with every day that passes, that aerobic energy system is becoming more dominant. And so your body's ability to use fat to drive cellular energy is on the rise.
Right.
But for most Americans, we want to burn the most amount of calories in the shortest amount of time. So we're training anaerobically.
Okay.
We're doing high intensity, short duration exercise.
Yep.
And this is what's happening to our energy systems. They're diverging. Your aerobic system's getting weaker, your anaerobic system's getting stronger, your body's demand and use for carbs to drive cellular function is on the rise as you age, and your body's ability to use fat as you age is going down. So it's harder for you to keep lower body fats, it's harder for you to lose weight, and you're having more cravings for carbs as you age. Different from your teens, different from your 20s, different from your 30s, different in your 40s, right? You're seeing this huge divergence in energy system development because It's fun for you to go hard in the paint. It's fun for you to go and do jujitsu. It's fun for you to do those dynamic type movements. It's not always fun to go and do low intensity, long duration cardio and take a call on a 1 hour treadmill walk.
Damn. Wow. Okay, so is that that's a lot. Is just introducing, I mean, I know first off, I think I know the answer to this, but when you visit with a new client, I'm sure you have, blueprints, but it's 100% everybody's different and you got to customize for everybody.
Absolutely.
So to say for me, I need to do whatever it is, 2-3 hours of slow, steady cardio every week, and I need to eat more fats or less fats. I mean, that's going to be specific to me as the individual.
Absolutely. Because on this food science side, right? On the food science side, we know avocados and oils, and we know those things are healthy fats. Like we know they're good. But once again, do you have an energy system that is efficient enough to utilize it as fuel? Okay. So that's why I look at these 5 variables: your nutrition, your training, your sleep, your genetics, and your biochem.
I'm gonna have to watch this podcast like 3 times to fully comprehend all this, man.
It's a lot. Great. It's a lot of information.
This is great. Keep going.
Yeah. And so that's why I look at it. But I try to, in my initial consults, I'm asking you questions.
Yeah.
I'm going through a list of questions and I'm trying to understand you as an individual, right? So I can troubleshoot your variables, and better understand what those constants are in your particular equation, so that when I introduce what training variables and when I introduce what food variables into your equation, I'm ensuring that this is my outcome.
Okay. And it could be that I have a declining or insufficient energy system that can even process the foods that I'm eating.
Absolutely. Right. So most people, you hear the old saying, calories in, calories out.
Okay.
Right. Do you know what a calorie is?
I mean, not at the level you do, that's for sure.
Okay. I mean, it's simple. It's a unit of measurement.
Okay. Got it.
That's right. It's a unit of measuring energy.
Yes.
Okay. If I told you I was going to give you 5 gallons.
Okay.
What would you follow that up with if I said, I'm going to give you 5 gallons?
I would say of water. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Right? I can give you 5 gallons of water. I can give you 5 gallons of gasoline. I can give you 5 gallons of kerosene. I can give you 5 gallons of diesel.
Okay.
I can give you 5 gallons of mud.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Calories are just a unit of measuring energy. Protein, carbs, and fats are 3 completely different types of fuel.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, okay, based off your variables that I'm evaluating, I'm going to determine how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat you need in your day, and when you need it and when you don't. That's how I build my plans.
Because not all calories are created equal.
Absolutely.
And
well, no. All calories are created equal because calories are a unit of measurement.
Got it.
But all those 3 sources of fuel, protein, carbs, and fats, they're not all the same.
So to dumb it down even further, just say I need 2,000 calories a day. Mm-hmm. I might need 1,500 of one of those 3 and 250 of another one and 250 of another one.
Correct.
And that's going to be specific to me as an individual.
Correct.
There's no one size fits all.
No. And to take it to another level, and a lot of people don't necessarily always focus on this, but when is the most optimal time for you to get those particular energy sources or fuel sources, right? Like, hey, it may be better for you to get more of your carbs at this time of your day and less of your carbs and more of your fats at this time of your day, right? And so that's how I like to break it down for people, is like, okay, you're eating this many carbs, you're eating 250 grams of carbohydrates a day, but out of those 250 grams of carbs, all of them are coming before 2 p.m., right? The majority of them are, right? Mm-hmm. So that's even taking it to a further level of what myself and the girls that work for me, we really try to do. And that's where I feel like if I want to grow muscle mass and I just put you in a caloric surplus, okay, I'm going to grow muscle for sure. Right?
You say you're eating more food. I don't care what it is. pump some iron.
Correct.
Eat,
I'm just gonna give you a major caloric surplus.
You got some high school kid that's trying to get bigger for the offensive line. Go for it, brother.
Yeah, right. So
yeah.
I put you in a caloric surplus, right? But it's like now I start, okay, well, based off sleep, based off training, I gained 30 pounds, but 10 of it was muscle and 20 of it was fat.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I gained 30 pounds and 25 of it was muscle and 5 of it was fat.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a different, yeah.
That's for sure different performance-wise, right? Especially in the world of being an athlete, because you want to be pound for pound the strongest athlete that you can be.
Right.
Right? You want to optimize your weight to strength ratio.
Yes.
And so on the opposite end of the spectrum, if I want to get you to lose weight, well, I'm just going to put you in a major caloric deficit.
Sure.
Okay. But how I break those calories down may determine if I just put you at a major caloric deficit, okay, you lose weight. But if I put you at a deficit, but I'm trying to control when you're getting your carbs, when you're getting your proteins, when you're getting your fats, instead of you losing 30 pounds and 20 of it being muscle mass and 10 of it being fat, maybe we walk away with 25 of it being fat mass and 5 of it being muscle.
So how do you use me as a guinea pig here? Okay, I want to put on, 25 pounds, whatever, of like the same scenario you just described.
Okay.
How do you know how much fat I need versus how much protein I need versus how much carbs I need as an individual? How do you figure that out?
So there's lots of equations out there, algorithms out there that are going to calculate it for you, right?
Okay.
And once again, these equations, these algorithms, all they do is try to narrow the window for you.
Okay.
Okay. But for me, I do it through experience.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So I understand this algorithm, right? But if I take yourself
Yep.
and an 18-year-old athlete,
Mm-hmm.
okay, same height, same weight,
Mm-hmm.
okay, same body fat,
Mm-hmm.
the algorithm is going to come out with a resolution that is almost identical to both of you.
Yeah, I get that. But that's insufficient because I'm 30 years older.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where it can be frustrating. Is people's like, well, you're not eating enough. Well, I'm not eating enough based off this algorithmic equation that it's produced this random number.
Yeah.
Right. But that particular equation does not factor in biochemistry.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I pretty much know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask this question anyways.
Yes.
When you were growing up,
Yes.
how much did you weigh?
Meaning like high school, or
Yeah.
I was like 155, maybe 165.
Okay.
Touched 170s in college. Have never really been above 180.
But a long and lean guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. You felt like you could eat your life away and not gain weight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's a biochemistry aspect.
Okay.
Okay. So when you were younger, you were more insulin sensitive.
Okay.
Okay. You could eat massive amounts of carbs and you produced very low doses of insulin to keep your blood sugar stable, to manage those carbs.
Okay.
Okay. But as you've aged, you've become a little bit more insulin resistant. You're not insulin sensitive where you used to be, but you're not resistant anymore. You're more of an insulin normal guy. So
Okay.
now if you strength train, you realize, man, you know what? Like I'm putting on a little bit of muscle. I didn't used to do this easily.
Yeah, it's for sure.
Right?
If I hit the weights, I lift weights about 1 day a week. If I bumped it up to 2 or 3, like I can notice a difference.
For sure.
Yeah.
But in the past, you're like, dude, I could hammer the weights out 6 days a week and not gain a pound of muscle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because you have gone from being less insulin sensitive to being more insulin normal. So you eat normal amounts of carbs, you produce normal amounts of insulin. And remember, insulin, it suppresses fat metabolization, but it promotes protein synthesis, which is muscle growth. So the more insulin you produce, the better you are at growing muscle, but the worse you are at getting fat.
Got it.
Right? Sorry, the worse you are at burning fat.
Yeah.
Right? So when you were insulin sensitive, you could eat like an asshole,
Yeah.
but guess what? You would be shredded,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't gain muscle.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So through time, your biochemistry has changed.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
And
that's,
the algorithm isn't telling you that. That's you as a guy with experience. It's done this with a zillion people. Do you, and let me ask you this. So I know that you're big on science and following science, and I find most people, if you picture like a detective like in the police department, right? They're like, I think he's in the apartment complex. Like, how do you know? It's just a hunch.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you have just like hunches about people, or like this, primal, like you just sort of know the answer when because you've sat with so many different people and
well, for sure, and it's, I don't know if it's necessarily a hunch or it's just I've seen it,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
I've seen it before, and I don't know Joe Rogan personally, but
Yeah.
I would almost assume he's dyslexic.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know anything about dyslexia?
Just a little bit, not a ton.
Well, let me tell you, we're horrible readers.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
Okay. My wife did an evaluation on me and I have the reading level of a third grader.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was during COVID. So it's not like she did it a long time ago. I do not read well,
Okay. Got it.
but I'm really good at solving problems.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. And I can hear something and I won't forget it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think that Joe Rogan has a knack for is he'll hear something from 50 podcasts ago.
Right.
And bam, it'll snap back into his
Yeah,
mind and he'll be like,
100%.
oh, so-and-so said this. And you're like, how do you even remember all of that?
I know, it's wild.
Right. And so that is one of the things that is very unique to dyslexics.
Okay.
Right. To where they do lack, where their occipital temporal lobe doesn't process reading really well.
Right.
But their cognitive function and their ability to troubleshoot is usually operating at a much faster, quicker pace.
Yes.
And so for me, I can sit down in front of someone and I can hear everything that you're telling me.
Yeah.
And I can remember it from somebody that I helped in 2007.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So you've seen it. Okay. So if somebody wanted to, what does the process look like? Like, you signed me up as a new client today. How often do we meet? How long do we meet? What's the process like?
So that really, that varies, right? So first of all, it's based off your goals.
Okay.
And then secondly, it's based off this initial consult, like how much do we really need to cover to, one, keep you accountable, keep you on a good trajectory, right? And get you the education you need to be able to navigate this faster.
Okay. You mentioned accountable. Do some people, like, you come up with a plan and they just don't do it?
For sure. Absolutely.
Is that frustrating?
I mean, yeah, absolutely can be frustrating, because I think the big thing is I understand it's hard.
Yeah.
But once again, like I said, I would never make my client do something that I wouldn't do myself.
You crazy, man. You're up at 3:30. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So so let me back to you. So we come up with a plan, assuming I'm accountable and I'm doing what you're saying you're going to do. And how is this? Do we meet once a week, once a month?
Yeah. So, and once again, it's that kind of initial evaluation. So we may say, hey guys, hey, I'll see you back in 2 weeks, or hey, I'll see you back in a month. Or I may see you back in 3 weeks. That initial follow-up, it can vary from a 2 to 4 week window.
Got it.
Right. Then once we start establishing some good, baselines of how your body's responding to the current plan, and we're continuing to educate you on the things that we need to educate you on, well, then we start diversifying the plan, right? Then we start to build variety into the plan because we want to control some variables early and then build variety as we go along. So we know exactly what's going to be the most optimal for you as an individual for lifestyle reasons, right? Like, okay, I mean, I can't sit down and cook a meal at this time during my day or whatever. Okay, we need to create some simple options. So,
Yeah.
So that may vary. So first 2 to 4 weeks, we'll see you for the first one. And, based off that second follow-up, I have clients that'll go, man, you let me go 4 weeks, I will do great for 2 weeks. And then I get a case of the fuckets for the last 2 weeks.
I love that. That's great. Yeah.
And then they're like, so I'll see you back in 2 weeks. And they'll sometimes determine when they're going to see me again.
Yeah.
If my schedule
No,
allows.
that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. So you're Slam. How many people are you seeing a day?
I see about 10, but it didn't used to be that. It used to be 18 to 20.
So you've cut it back.
for sure. Since having kids, I most definitely see less people.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but the girls in my office, I mean, they essentially have,
So you got backup. Oh, that's good.
yeah, they'll
That's
see
solid.
16, 18 people in a day sometimes.
Got it. So you're getting them in, you're getting them going, and then you got people to help with the follow up based on the plan that you come up with for everybody.
Correct.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
my goal, like the two ladies that currently are working for me, Nicole has been with me since she was an intern at Texas Women getting her master's degree.
Yeah.
She's been with me for 11 years. So
Yeah.
Nicole is very well versed in understanding how to navigate people and help them, right? So she has her clients, Madison has her clients. And so for me, what I felt really good about is they were getting a higher level of education in nutrition, but as they were my intern while they got that higher level of education, I was helping them say, okay, look, here's good science, but here's applicable science, right? Like, here is how we're going to take this information that you're learning in school and how to properly apply it to your clients, right? And so by the time they've graduated and gotten their master's degree and can kind of start seeing clients, well, now they have a really good understanding of what they need to be doing.
That's great.
But they always have me as a resource to come back to. On top of that, I always have them as a resource to go to.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like they're just coming to me. I'll go to them. I mean, that's how we learn,
Yeah.
you know?
That's cool. Okay, so and then your average client would stick with you 6 months, a year. Like, how long is this process usually? I know it's different. What
yeah.
are the kind of the short and
And
long term?
once again, it can determine on what is your trajectory, right? Like, what is your goal? If you come in and you're like, I'm 350 pounds and your weight of where you really need to be healthy overall weight is 210, okay, that's going to be a longer drawn out process, right? But if it's, hey, I need to train for, you know, like Joel, for instance, I want to qualify for Boston and I have this race coming up in 5 months,
Yeah.
and I need you to help me optimize my nutrition day to day and my intra-fueling nutrition to get my performance there. I'm not coaching him on any of his running or anything like that. I'm just doing the fueling, and his fueling is getting better and his paces are going down, and his paces are going up and his times are going down. Then we're doing the job. And then, you know, he reaches his goal. He qualifies for Boston. He ran Boston this year. Now I haven't seen Joel since.
That's badass. Well, yeah, right. He won. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about other areas of people's lives? I'm clear that this, you know, when you sit down with somebody and come up with a good recipe, they're on the mat or their marathon time is going to come down. Do any people report like relationships get better? You know, like any other, my work has gotten this, or you know, any fun stories around that?
Oh man, I have a good story and a bad story.
Okay.
So, you know, you develop a relationship with people through time and working with them. And there was one particular client I was working with, and started working with him back in 2017, and he's an IT guy, very techie, you know, and he was married at the time, and he was just kind of struggling, and he just wanted to, you know, hey, I go to the gym, I'm consistent, like I want to grow some muscle, and okay, man, you know, and so we really started figuring his food out. And then he went through a divorce during COVID, and that kind of took his toll on him. And then around December of 2022, he and I kind of sat down, and he was like, I need to get my life together.
Yeah.
Right. I don't feel confident in myself. I need to reel this back in.
Yeah.
And we did. Right. And from December 2022 to really October of 24, this guy went from being this short little chubby IT guy to being shredded, super muscular dude.
Isn't it cool when people, you know, come to you and trust you enough to share, you know, those uncomfortable moments for them and allow you to jump in and help. I mean, that's one of the cool things we get to experience a lot of that here.
Absolutely.
People coming in wanting to train martial arts, but that's one of the, I bet you that's one of the things that I can tell that you love this work, but as far as pulling on your heartstrings, that's got to be a big piece of
For sure,
the
man.
fulfillment of this work.
Absolutely. But this particular gentleman, one of the last conversations I had with him, he said, hey, like, I want to thank you. Like, I've gotten so confident that I've put myself out on a dating app. I'm going to start dating again. And I got this date lined up with this girl, and I'm going out on this date. I'm so excited about it. I got this special bottle of champagne going to come to the restaurant that we're going to. He was excited.
Yeah.
And they go out on their date and everything, and they leave. They were in a car crash, and they both died.
Oh no, man.
And it was like, oh.
That's terrible.
And it was this watching this. I told his sister this. It was like watching this caterpillar turn into this awesome butterfly and just ready to take on the world. And then,
damn,
the flame swiped out like that, man. Really sad.
Damn.
And he was such a good guy. Hardworking, disciplined. I tell him to do something, he did it.
Yeah.
He didn't question it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I know we need to wrap up soon. I wanted to just circle back to one thing we were talking about at the very beginning, which was the shot. What's the shot again? Ozempic. So is it good for anybody?
So it can be a great tool, right? It's not the fix-all, right? It can be a really good tool, but I think where most people get distracted with it is you growing up, you probably had some issues with eating. Okay. From a standpoint of, hey, I'm training, I'm pole vaulting, I'm not really hungry at those time domains.
Okay.
And so that means that there's a presence of glucagon in your body.
Okay.
Right? Because you naturally had lower insulin. So if your insulin's low, your glucagon's high. Well, what people start doing is go, well, like they start taking the shot. Well, they don't want to eat. And they think, well, I'm not hungry, so I'm not going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your appetite is no indicator of what your body does and does not need nutritionally.
Well, that's a wild one. Your appetite is no indicator of what your body does or does not need.
Correct.
Oh, that's nuts.
Right? My 8-month-old little daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, she wakes up in the morning. What do you think she wants to do?
Eat.
Eat.
Okay.
3 hours later?
Eat.
Right? Babies, they don't have external stressors, work stress, life stress, training stress.
Okay.
They wake up, their system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Ingest food, digest it, uptake its nutrition, cycle starts all over again.
Okay.
So what so many people start doing is they let their appetite determine when they do and do not eat. And so if they get on the shot and they have no appetite, well, they just don't eat.
Okay.
Well, that's what got you in that place in the first place, is you driving metabolic damage by not consuming.
Okay.
You've essentially trained your body to run off less energy.
Got it.
And insulin is a survivalistic hormone. It preserves fat and it preserves muscle, and you can assure that your body will learn to produce more of it if you don't eat. And so people get on the shot and then they don't eat. And what they're doing is they're counteracting they're trying to counteract the metabolic damage that they created, but inevitably in the long term, they're going to exacerbate the metabolic damage that they created. They're going to make it worse.
Really?
Oh, yes.
So you have a temporary, what looks like temporary success, but is it irrevocable damage, or is it something they can repair?
They can for sure repair, right? So for example, let's say somebody's insulin level is here.
Mm-hmm.
And they get on the shot, right? So their insulin levels here naturally, their glucagon levels here naturally. They get on the shot, the glucagon comes up. So what does the insulin do? It goes down. But they're not eating.
Yeah.
Right? They're just riding the wave of no appetite.
Yeah.
This starts going up.
Yeah.
So they titrate up to the next dose of the medication.
Yeesh.
Right?
Yeah.
And they keep doing that, and then they have to get off the medication. Well, now they don't gain the 30 pounds that they lost. They gain 50 pounds back.
Damn. Okay. So Whew. All right. So if somebody, let me just give you an example. So say somebody, multiple comorbidities, like really, really big, unhealthy, probably going to die soon, 20 years struggling, if they got on this and lost 100 pounds, 200 pounds, and then got with somebody like you and came up with a plan for, hey, when I get off this and while I'm on it, do you think that could be a decent use for that medication?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It can be a great tool because the thing that is really hard is when you have that much insulin, your ghrelin production, which is your appetite hormone, is sky high. And so you're hungry all the time.
When you get off of it.
No, I'm just saying, just in general,
Got it.
if you've never been on it and you have all these other comorbidities, right?
Yes. Oh, well, I got what you're saying. Yeah.
Your appetite is sky high.
Yeah.
And so now it's not just a matter of mental willpower to suppress or to not eat. You're literally battling your body's physiology because the body's physiology is signaling hunger, even though you've eaten a ton.
Wow.
Right? And so it can be a great tool to reduce that physiological dependency.
Yeah.
Right? You want to get somebody off of drugs, like you use medications to help get them off of those drugs, to clean their system out, to get their homeostasis, their biochemistry back to a good, happy place.
Okay.
Right? You can utilize GLPs and GLP-1s in a way that they can be a great tool for weight loss when coupled with good nutritional counseling.
Okay, so that's kind of where I wanted to end on this. So like if someone's going to do that, they need to get with somebody like you, or they're setting themselves up to be in a way worse spot 6 months, a year, 2 years from now.
Agreed.
And it can be a great tool.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. Well, Michael Florida, dude, I'm overwhelmed. I got to go look up a bunch of the words you said, I got to Google a bunch of that, ChatGPT. I didn't even really get to like our full list of stuff I wanted to cover with you today. So hopefully you'll come back sometime and coach us up a little more.
For sure,
And
man.
if somebody wants to get in touch with you or inquire about your services, what do they do?
I mean, they can look for our website,
Okay.
fuelingyourlife.net.
Fuelingyourlife.net.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They can call up to the office. Leslie or Madison will either answer the phone, 281-833-6560.
Yeah.
And but you can always go to the website and you can inquire on the portal.
Yeah.
And it'll shoot us a message and somebody will get back to you.
And if somebody's out, do y'all do anybody that's out of town? Like
Absolutely.
people can zoom in and do this. Like you don't have to be in Houston.
I mean, we do consulting literally all over the world.
That's badass, man.
Yeah.
Well, again, thanks for being here. Thanks for being the kind of guy that loves helping people. And it's super cool to meet and get to know people that are like ninjas in their line of work, And I can tell you are. So this has been a lot of fun, man. Thanks for being here.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. And yes, if you want me back, we can go down a lot more rabbit holes.
I look forward to it. Cool, buddy.
All right, man.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.